Have you ever looked at your family and just felt like you didn't belong, like on a soul level? And have you ever wondered why you, a sensitive person, an aware person, were born into a family that felt so challenging? You might think, if the universe is so wise, if there's some intelligence behind all of this, why would it place its most sensitive souls into such difficult circumstances? It can feel like a cosmic mistake, a cruel error in judgment. But what if I told you that this is not a mistake? What if the very thing you've been cursing, the very environment you may have been running from your whole life, was actually by design, not because suffering is noble, but because sometimes the hardest soil produces the strongest trees? This isn't a story about a curse. It's the story of how your family, in all its difficulty, may have been the very crucible designed to forge your awakening. It's one of the most painful paradoxes on the spiritual path. We see others who were raised in what looks like peace and harmony, and we wonder, what did I do to deserve a path of conflict, of misunderstanding, of pain? But what if this wasn't a punishment? What if it was a sacred assignment? Many spiritual teachings, from ancient concepts of karma to more modern explorations, suggest a radical way of reframing this. It's a perspective that invites us to consider that our souls, before this life, may have chosen our circumstances with a higher purpose in mind. The idea isn't that your soul chose the pain. It's that your soul chose the growth that could only come from transmuting that pain. You weren't sent to this family to be broken. You were sent there because your soul knew you were strong enough to break the cycle. The pain wasn't random, it was preparation. Across many spiritual traditions, there's this idea of pre-birth agreements or soul contracts. This concept suggests that before we incarnate, our souls choose the families and challenges that will best serve our evolution. Life, from this viewpoint, isn't a series of random events, but a curriculum we designed for ourselves. Think about it this way. Imagine your soul in a state of higher consciousness, guided by wisdom and a desire for growth. It selects the precise conditions needed to learn specific lessons, like forgiveness, resilience, or self-love. A soul seeking to master unconditional love might choose parents who are difficult to love. A soul wanting to find its own voice might choose a family that tries to silence it. According to this belief, you and the souls of your family members agreed to these roles, not out of malice, but out of a deep, soul-level love to help you awaken your own power. Now I want to be clear about something. This perspective is not meant to invalidate the very real pain caused by dysfunctional families. The wounds are real, the suffering is legitimate. What happened to you was not right. But this framework offers a different lens. It suggests a shift from asking, "Why did this happen to me?" to "What did my soul intend for me to learn from this?" It reframes the family not as your prison, but as your training ground, a spiritual gymnasium you chose to build your strength. Comfort rarely breeds transformation. It's often through adversity that we are forced to grow. A tree that grows on a windy mountainside develops deeper, stronger roots than one protected in a valley. In the same way, souls placed in challenging environments are compelled to develop profound inner strength. You see, a peaceful family might provide comfort, but it rarely provides the friction needed for a deep spiritual awakening. It's the contrast that initiates the journey. When you live in an environment where love is conditional, you are forced to find unconditional love within yourself. When truth is denied, you are forced to become a seeker of truth. When you feel like an outsider in your own home, you are pushed to build a home within your own soul. This difficult environment acts as a spiritual forge. It's like the grain of sand in an oyster. It irritates, it hurts. So what does the oyster do? It begins to coat that irritant with layer after layer, and eventually, that which hurt it most becomes a pearl. The intense heat of conflict and rejection is the very force that purifies the soul. It burns away the need for external validation and the inherited patterns that keep us small. This process is painful, yes, but it's also what breaks you open so your true self can emerge. The very traits you develop to survive your family are often the foundation of your greatest spiritual gifts. What some might call a trauma response, a spiritual perspective, can reframe as the awakening of higher sensitivities. Think about it. A child in an unpredictable home must become hypervigilant. They learn to read moods, to feel the energy in a room, to sense what's left unsaid. In adulthood, this hypervigilance, when healed, can transform into profound empathy and heightened intuition. Your ability to feel what others feel isn't a flaw, it's a superpower forged in the fires of your past. Because you were not seen, you learned to see others. Because your feelings were dismissed, you learned to honor the feelings of the unheard. Because you had to navigate a world of secrets, you developed a powerful ability to discern truth. The pain forced you to develop an inner guidance system far more reliable than any external authority. Your family didn't give you these gifts, but their dysfunction forced you to unwrap them. Here's a truth that can be hard to accept. Your family wasn't just toxic to you. They were toxic because they were wounded. They were wounded because their parents were wounded, and their parents before them. It goes back generation after generation, each one unconsciously passing on the pain they received because they didn't know how to do anything else. You are the culmination of all that pain, and you were the one who finally said, "This stops here." You are the one who looked at the pattern and said, "No more, I will not pass this on." And that is why you're different. Not because you're special in some ego sense, but because your soul was strong enough to say, "I will carry this weight. I will be the one who breaks the chain." When you begin to heal, the family system often resists. Your growth is a threat to their familiar dysfunction. They may try to pull you back into old roles or accuse you of betrayal, because your healing shines a light on their own unhealed wounds. Understand that their resistance is not a sign of your failure, but a confirmation of your success. You are disrupting the old game, showing them that another way is possible. You may never get their approval, but your very existence becomes a testament to freedom. Knowing the spiritual purpose behind your past is empowering, but healing requires practical steps. The first is learning to set boundaries. Boundaries aren't acts of aggression, they are acts of self-respect. It is you finally saying, "My peace matters." The next step is compassionate detachment. This doesn't mean cutting off all feeling. It means unhooking from the drama. You can love your family from a distance. Understanding their behavior is a reflection of their pain, not your worth. You release the quest for their approval, freeing up immense energy for your own life. Does this mean you have to have a relationship with them? Does this mean you have to trust them? Absolutely not. Understanding is not the same as allowing abuse. Compassion is not the same as being a doormat. You can wish someone well from a great distance. Finally, healing involves building your chosen family. Family isn't just blood, it's love, respect, and mutual support. Surround yourself with people who see you and celebrate your growth. These are the relationships that will nourish you. The journey of an awakened soul born into a toxic family is a hero's journey. It reframes the narrative of your life from one of victimhood to one of profound purpose. You are not a victim, you are a volunteer who chose a difficult assignment to achieve incredible growth. Your family was not a mistake, they were the training ground. The pain was not a punishment, it was a purification. The fire that was meant to destroy you instead revealed that you are fireproof. You are the alchemist who has learned to turn pain into purpose and trauma into wisdom. Your past did not break you, it broke you open, so your true light could finally shine. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear that their struggle has a sacred purpose. And I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Your experience of turning family pain into personal power is a beacon for others still finding their way through the darkness.